When you first came to me, how much did you weigh?
284.
And how much do you weigh now?
What I ate before December 15th when I was diagnosed was unreal. It was horrible. I had a horrible diet. On December 15th, when he read the results, my blood sugar was 163, A1C was 8.4. I was very depressed.
I remember.
Really just not in a good mood. It was bad.
I remember. You showed that in 3.5 months, you were able to reverse type 2 diabetes. How does that make you feel?
It feels amazing.
Right?
It feels amazing. It's, you know, I can't even, words aren't, just like, he kept reading the results on the computer from the lab, and he was like, this is amazing. He kept saying, this is amazing. He's like, this is amazing.
The United States, and the rest of the world for that matter, is facing a diabetic crisis. Diabetes is the most common and prevalent metabolic cause of death around the globe, with countries like China being the most affected with 141 million sufferers in 2021, and here in the US, 11.3% of the adult population are diagnosed with diabetes. Dominic was only 25 when he was diagnosed with prediabetes, and just 5 short years later, he was a full-blown type 2 diabetic. And he's not alone, as more than 1 in 3 Americans are pre-diabetic, and 48.8% of Americans over 65 are in a pre-diabetic condition or worse. In addition, the International Diabetes Federation projects that by 2045, 1 in 8 adults, approximately 783 million people, will be living with diabetes, and a whopping 90% of those afflicted will have type 2 diabetes, a metabolic disease primarily driven by lifestyle and environmental factors such as urbanization, low levels of physical activity, and the increased consumption of low nutrition, pro-inflammatory foods, also known as ultra-processed foods.
What I ate before December 15th when I was diagnosed was unreal. It was horrible. I had a horrible diet. It was nothing but fast food.
Okay.
McDonald's, Buffalo Wild Wings, In-N-Out Burger, Raisin Cane's, you know, which has that Texas toast, white bread,
Right.
with that ketchup mixed with mayo, that sauce they have. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
But without the aid of drugs, weekly injections, or bariatric surgery, Dominic reversed his type 2 diabetes in just 3.5 months and lost over 70 pounds while working directly with me, but lost a total of 98 pounds because he learned how to correct his body.
Working with Dr. Nash, I lost 70 pounds in 3.5 months and reversed my type 2 diabetes, and I feel great.
Here is the testimony of Dominic.
So when you first came to me, how much did you weigh?
284,
And how much do you weigh now?
214.
Look at you. So in 3 months of dieting, you've lost 70 pounds.
Yeah.
How much did you lose the first time?
Well, the first time it wasn't that much. It was only 17.
Okay, well that's still decent. That's still over a half a pound a
Is
day.
it?
Yeah, that's decent. And then the second time,
The second time it was 25.
and the third time,
22.
20. Look at you. So you actually lost more weight as you
Yeah.
went along.
The second cycle is really where I like everything about the program sort of clicked in my head,
Right.
and I understood, like, okay, this is what I got to do, you know, because I want this second cycle to be more successful than the first one,
Right.
because, you know, at the time it was new. I was still trying to understand it.
Right. Now let's talk about medical issues, because now how old are you?
30.
30. So only 30 years old, but diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, or were you pre-diabetic?
I was pre-diabetic for a while.
How long is a while? 2 years? 3? 5?
It might have been something like that.
No, you got to tell me which one. Like if you had to guess.
If I had to guess, maybe 5.
5 years.
Yeah.
Were you ever diagnosed as full type 2 diabetic?
I was, and it was on December 15th.
That's right, because you came in,
I came in on January 3rd.
yeah, right after you were diagnosed. So it
Yeah.
had gone from pre-diabetes
Oh, yeah.
all the way into diabetes.
Yeah.
And that's when you were like,
That's when
I gotta do something.
That was the day I decided. Well, December 15th, when my doctor told me, was
Right.
the day I decided that I had it. And I didn't come do this program until like almost a month later.
now have you been to your doctor since
I have.
Okay.
I went on April 10th, and he told me that my diabetes was basically gone. Like, it had normalized. He was actually very surprised when he read the lab results, because I went to the lab on March 31st, which was 3.5 months after he diagnosed me. I was on December 15th when he read the results. My blood sugar was 163, A1C was 8.4. When I went back on April 10th from the blood work drawn on March 31st, my blood sugar was 93, normal, and my A1C was 5 point.
And you did that
In 3.5 months, exactly 3.5.
3.5 months.
I got it to normal.
Right. And what was his response?
Oh, he was surprised. He was really happy. He was just like, he kept reading the results on the computer from the lab, and he was like, "This is amazing." He kept saying, "This is amazing." He's like, "This is amazing."
We need to give him my card. Because what you're proving is something that even the American Diabetes Association says can't be done.
Yeah.
So if you go on the American Diabetes website, the ADA's website, they will tell you that once you have type 2 diabetes, that it is chronic and it is progressive. And what that means is once you get it, you can never get rid of it.
Yeah.
That it will just keep going and it'll just get worse. You showed that in 3.5 months, you were able to reverse type 2 diabetes. How does that make you feel?
It feels amazing.
Right?
It feels amazing. It is, it's, I can't even, words aren't.
Right?
I mean, because for that first month, I was very depressed.
I remember.
Really just not in a good mood. It was bad.
I remember.
You
I
know?
remember.
I
In
didn't
fact, when
feel
you
good at
first came
all.
in, I was worried. I'm always worried about some of my clients. Like, I know they tell me their goals and I know their body can get there, but I don't know if they can get their body there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it was only because 30 to you might seem old, but 30 is not old. And so for a 30-year-old or someone who's in their 20s to say that they want to tackle a goal like type 2 diabetes and reversing it, it can be done if they put in the effort to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was worried about you. So the first time that they sent me the first video of you, which I'll put in this clip.
Hi, my name is Dominic. I lost 48 pounds since January 12th. It's now late April, and my blood sugar and blood pressure have both dropped significantly. Blood sugar is normal now. My doctor says my diabetes is gone, and I just want to thank the Dr. Nash and her team for helping me get healthy again. Thank you.
Where I think you had lost, I think that's after your second cycle.
I had lost 48.
You had lost 48. They sent that to me in the middle of a conference, and I showed everybody at I showed them. I was like, you can reverse this. You can reverse a lot. Do you think you could have done it on your own?
Oh, no. I know I couldn't have. No, I know I couldn't have.
So one of the things I make all of my patients do in retrain phase is to bring their calories up, right? Have you ever had a program that did that for you?
I didn't, and that's another thing that I learned from this that I didn't know before, and then that would have prevented me from keeping it off, I think, as well, because I had no idea what retrain was. In fact, when I was first brought in that first month back and talked to Taryn, and she was telling me about it, it kind of threw me off at first, because she was like, well, you have to eat a lot more and eat, you can eat all these different foods, and it didn't make sense to me, because I'm like, wait, this is a weight loss program.
Right.
Why am I eating more now that I've lost more weight? Like, it didn't make sense, but it makes sense.
It makes a lot more sense now, right? Yeah, you have to kind of go through it and experience it.
I didn't know what that was. I never heard that word.
Nobody teaches that, and I think because nobody teaches it either because they don't know, or they don't want you to keep it off permanently. In your first retrain phase, how high did you get your calories?
I'm not really sure. I don't remember how high it was. It was, about what she said I should be.
Okay, so
I think that first one she said to get it up to 2,800.
Say it louder.
2,800.
And do you think you got it up to 2,800?
Oh, yeah.
Got it up to 2,800.
I ate a lot more for sure than I did.
Anything you would want to tell anybody about starting the program or doing the program, or like your personal thoughts?
just that it works, because I know I couldn't have done it without this program. I know that for a fact. Without this program, it wouldn't have taught me retrain, and that's a big part.
That's
of
a
it.
huge part of it.
Huge part of it. I had no idea what that was before coming here.
Right. Do you think you would have been able to keep it off long term without that retrain?
No, because I would have just continued to eat what I ate before December 15th when I was diagnosed. Was unreal. It was horrible. I had a horrible diet. It was nothing but fast food.
Okay.
McDonald's, Buffalo Wild Wings, In-N-Out Burger, Raisin Cane's, which has that Texas toast, white bread,
Right.
with that ketchup mixed with mayo, that sauce they have. I mean, it was just ridiculous. A lot of sweets.
Seeing how
candy.
quickly your body corrected itself, and amazing your doctor and all of that kind of stuff. Seeing how quickly that it can respond, would you be willing to go back to eating those style of foods?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't miss it either. And it's very true. And before I was diagnosed, I really was kind of like upset that I was going to have to give up all those things. I didn't know how I was going to do it at first. Now I'm unbelievably glad I did.